Been there?
No, I think my daughter went there with a puppeteer. She's a puppeteer in your summer,
Okay.
in a summer festival around a lake.
Oh,
Could that be Chile?
yes, in the south, I think.
In the south, and then she went way down to Patagonia.
Yeah.
It was fabulous, and she loved it.
Wow.
Poor Chile. I mean, when I was young, it was Allende and disaster, and then now it's better.
It is.
Well, the question is related to my country. So, at least in my country, it's usual to hear the people saying, "I can design my own house," or I can design my own house."
Yeah, sure.
Or I want to design my own house.
Isn't there? There's a professor who works with people design. Oh yeah. The guy who was in the Venice Biennale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aravena.
Yeah.
He was the Pritzker.
Pritzker. Yeah.
Before the Spanish guys.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. He was fantastic. Actually, it was very nice Biennale.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well.
So people are used to saying, "I can design my own house." Yes.
Yes, and if they don't have enough money, they try to avoid spending money on architects as much as possible, and they say to us, "Just make a fast drawing or a sketch, and I pay you a little." These kind of things. Because
Lucky
I'm an
you.
architect too.
Yeah.
So my question is, are we really necessary, and how would you argue that architects are a relevant actor in today's world?
Okay. Well, how do you want me to start? Okay. When I think about Latin America and Chile, I think about housing without industrialization. And so that you can't have modernism. I know they tried with John Turner and all of that. And that was very, very important for me in terms of bottom-up, trying to get people to be involved in making their housing. But when you look at, they got star architects to do it, it was kind of crazy. In reality, like if you go to, I only have been to Venezuela in the 90s, 60% of the city was self-built. And it was built with leftovers from the downtown construction. The people who built it were from the construction people from the downtown, and they would do it in stages over time going up. And I think that the future in Africa and in Latin America is already sort of 80% urbanized. But in Africa and in India, the future of the 1.2 billion people who are going to move is going to be self-built. There's no way, they don't have industrial production. Latin America is a very good model of what's going to happen, and it'll be with an African version or an Indian version, and they're not going to be able to replicate the Chinese model where they demolished all land holding, they educated everybody with a universal education, and they had industrialization on a massive scale. So that model of modernity, which of course raised up an enormous number of people very fast, is not going to happen. And so it's going to be long, poor, build it yourself over a long time. And architects have almost no role. It's a sad thing. I don't know, in terms of urban design, which is what I do, when I was in Venezuela, I felt like I was in Italian hill towns. And people were built, and I'm sure that's exactly how Italian cities were built in Venice and so on. So they were self-built. And then the architects would do the big public buildings, and maybe that will be the model again, I don't know. But I don't dismiss that self-build. I think it's really, really important. And Chile was an important place for trying to deal with it early on. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yes.
That is so good.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, you made a question that I could really relate to. That was just right for me. Because I didn't say it in the talk.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't.